This meeting is being recorded.
Good morning, Krupa Sapna. Do you hear the background noise of the fan spinning here?
No, madam.
No. Okay, all right.
Yes.
All right. We shall explore today the concept of temperaments,
Yes, ma'am.
which is essential for us to understand ourselves and also the children.
Yeah.
More so the children, because we are dealing with them every single day. So we know that we are made up of the basic elements in nature, all of us, all living things for sure. The rock, for example, is just the mineral. However, the plant, when we take, it has a mineral. It also has water in it. It also needs the fire element, the heat element, or the sun is required. And there is also an air element in it. There is hollowness, the air exchange, all of that also exists. So out of the 5 Pancha Mahabhutas that we have, 4 elements are definitely present in the plant. Then when we take the next living being, which is any of the animal, we do have the mineral element, the structure, the bone structure of this animal. Somewhere the dead matter, the bone is giving the structure, but it is not, it's mostly calcium. So that's coming from the mineral world. Then we definitely need wetness. The water element is there in all the animals. Then we have air element. The animals have to breathe in, breathe out. So there is an air element. And the animals also, there are cold-blooded animals. However, they also need the warmth, at least for digesting the food they eat. Outwardly, they could be cold-blooded. And the way we have classified cold-blooded, warm-blooded is the way their blood nerve system is kind of designed. But there is heat element in them as well. And there is a bit more consciousness in the animals compared to that of plants. So that is the 5th element, which is the space element. Then we take the next level of living beings, the human beings. We also have the bone structure, which is coming from the mineral element or the earth element. Then we do also have life in us, just like plants and animals, which is the water element. We have that. We have the air element, a lot of it, and we can also control, through the pranayama, we can control the in-breath, out-breath. We can reduce our heartbeats, pulse rate, etc. We have the ability. Then we have the fire element to digest not just the food, but also the thoughts and ideas, process and think about it. We definitely need a kind of fire element, When we go into the deeper classifications of all of this, just the air is classified into 5 types. We have it in according to Ayurveda, prana, pyana, apana, udana, samana, a lot of different kinds of air elements exist that are balancing our body, that is moving the waste matter downwards, the ability to think upwards. I don't know the details of those, but they are classified into finer and finer aspects. Similarly, unlike all other animals, we have the space element or the consciousness element, more developed. That doesn't mean that we all use it, but we definitely have it more evolved than any other living thing. So bottom line is, other than non-living matter, all living things have these four elements that makes up their existence: the earth, the water, the air, and the fire. Along with it, to some extent, the space element. Plants may not have as much, animals have it a little bit more, human beings have it much, much more. And once we are made up of these elements, we definitely carry those characteristics in us. You know, when you start analyzing, this is what we as teachers must do. In everything we do, these 4 or 5 elements are embedded in everything. The way we talk, for example, if I speak with great awareness, use the right words, very grounded, very meaningful, you cannot find a mistake in my talking. And there is a lot of sense in what I speak. That is the heaviness in my talk will be the earth element that is playing out in me. If my speech is sing-along, you know, that very soothing to hear, rhythmic words, repetitive, but not boring, then it could be the water element that is predominant in me. If my speech is erratic, you know, I start talking something, then I jump over to something else, and you know, I'm excited in one moment and not so excited. I'm talking here, but I'm gone somewhere else, calling from somewhere else. You know, there is this variation in the way I talk, and I'm confusing others. Then there is an air element that is predominantly working in me. And if someone gets intentionally upset and shouts at the top of their voice and is like a go-getter and wants things done instantly, immediately, and make sure that they're loud enough so that everybody hears and everybody gets to work to get that project done, then it is the fire element that is predominant in me. That is just the talk. You can take anything else, the food we eat, for example. If I like all the crunchy stuff, anything is okay. I'm just punching along, making the sounds, and I like to try different kinds of foods, then it is the air element. If I like a proper meal for everything, I mean, even the breakfast, it has to be like hot, with proper condiments with it, you know, served properly, and a person likes to just sit down and enjoy that meal, then it is the earth element. If someone wants it very, very spicy, and they have to get like that kick the minute they put the first bite in their mouth, then it is the fire element. And anything is okay. You give me leftover, you give me laddus for breakfast, you give me rice for snack, you give me exotic meal for you know, just a bite of it for breakfast. Anything is okay will be the water element. Very flexible, very adaptive, not complaining. That is the water element. So we see these variations in our class every single day, and sometimes variation in ourselves, because we do have all 4 elements. We do have a structure in our body, we do have the water in our body, we do have air element, and we do have the fire element. But which is predominant is how I behave. And it is only one aspect of it. My behavior also comes from my background. I mean, if I'm coming from a family which is very stable, very ritualistic, very grounded and balanced, then my temperament or my personality may vary a little bit. My temperament can be anything. My personality will have an influence based on the environment. If I'm coming from, we say, most of the North Indians are very Rajasic, like, they fight and they get their way. And that's coming because they were invaded many, many, many times, and they had to become warrior-like. They had to defend themselves. They had to fight. So that has come into their nature from generations. The same thing, people from South India are very quiet, peaceful. They just take care of their own business. They don't worry so much, more like phlegmatic kind, water element kind, because we didn't have to externally fight anybody. We were most secure a lot compared to the north regions. So a lot of other factors also play in the way I behave. And my external behavior is not just because of the temperament. Of course, temperament has a big role to play, but is also based on the environment I come from, my physical, emotional, financial, all those backgrounds matter. So you see this variety in the class. And we as teachers, even we as parents, if you have two children or if you're dealing with two people in your family, forget about two people, it's just you and one other person. Then you will see a lot of variation. I may want my place to be very organized, neat and clean, and you may not care for it at all. You are happy with things scattered around. And if we both are living together, I am complaining constantly against how messy you are, and you are complaining constantly about how rigid I am. And both of us are not happy. And this goes on every single day with every relationship we have. So once I understand the temperaments, I mean, the reason why you are so scattered is because you are predominantly air element, and I'm so organized or appear rigid because I'm predominantly an earth element. Now, I can never compare earth with air. I mean, air is everywhere, earth is very rigid. That is how it is. We cannot change it. And don't even try to change it. I mean, it's like I can probably condense the air and I can bring it into a liquid form with lot of external pressure changing, creating situation. But the minute it's given an opportunity, it's going to explode and expand. That is the nature of air. And we can, pound the earth and make it fine powder and blow air through it and, make it look like it's flying around in the air. But the minute things change, the blowing stops, it's going to settle down. And layer after layer, sediments are going to be formed. And the day when we learn to accept this, that air element is the one that's going to moving around and it has advantages. Earth element is going to be very settled. It has its advantages. The water element is going to be flowing endlessly wherever there is a gradient. And if there is no gradient for the water to flow, it's going to become stagnant. It's going to stagnate. And the stagnated water, if there is fresh water coming in, if there is no pollutants added to it, it's still good, like small lakes, ponds, etc. But the minute it takes in stuff, it could become unusable water. It will decay, and that's what happens to people. You could have a very child in your class, will not interfere, will not disturb, very grounded. And those are the best children in the class, and the teachers may not pay as much attention to these children. And if they're flowing on their own, maybe they have some role model at home, parents or some teacher, whatever. If they're flowing, it's okay. But if every teacher is ignoring and parent is also kind of ignoring, they may become stagnant and lose interest in studying, in learning, in playing, in eating, everything. They kind of lose interest. They kind of become lethargic. And then we wonder, 5, 6, 7 years later, we wonder what happened to this child. He was such an adapting child in the class. And now look at him. He's put on weight. He's lazy. He doesn't want to participate. Somewhere we did not provide that constant motivation that children predominantly with water element need. Similarly, if we have a child who always wants to be first in the class, wants to compete in everything, if he's looking out for a problem and he'll immediately pick something up and go fix it, get things done, then it's the fire element that is working in the child. So everything we do, every minute of the day, these underlying temperaments, underlying elements are going to be determining the way we walk, the way we talk, the kind of food we eat, the amount of sugar that I need in my coffee. It comes down to that level. Some of us like it black coffee, no sugar at all. I don't want any excitement, no additional taste. I want pure taste of the coffee, black coffee. It's an earth element. I want lots of sugar in it, lots of energy. That's air element. Anything you give is okay. Give me strong coffee, filter coffee, more sugar, more milk, whatever is there. Just give me some hot coffee is the water element. And choleric, the fire element, will want the perfect coffee. And that could be coming from their conditioning. If I come from South India, it has to be the strong decoction with this much of milk and this much of sugar. They'll make sure that you make this kind of coffee, or they'll teach you how to make this kind of coffee and only then consume that. That's a choleric element. So you see everything. Your handwriting will indicate, will give you an idea as to what kind of temperament that could be predominant in you. The colors that you choose for your clothes. If you open your closet and look at which colors do you mostly have, we are distracted. Again, I said, there could be a sale happening. You don't like blue at all, but then the blue dress is on sale, 70, 80% off, you will get it. That doesn't mean you're driven by the temperament there, then you're driven by the external influence. But by and large, if you are a choleric, fire element dominant, you will have red and oranges. If you are earth element, we call them melancholics. It could be blacks, dark green, and dark browns, earth colors. If you are air element, then you will have mostly pastel colors, all light colors. Then if you are water element, which is phlegmatic, it could be the bluish, greenish colors, and sometimes any color is also okay for them. So you could also have big mix if they are unaware of their temperament. So this list kind of goes on and on and on. And it's interesting. So you have to begin somewhere to understand. I would suggest you begin with you. You begin with understanding yourself as to how you behave, how you are in the morning, how you are in the afternoon, how you are in the evening. Even the days are divided according to the temperament. 2 to 6 a.m. or p.m. is predominantly dominant with the air element. 6 to 10 is the water or earth element. 10 to 2 is the fire element. So if any of your families are practicing Ayurveda, in Ayurveda, they go with the 3 elements, air, fire, and they mix up the earth and the water. They kind of have the similar properties. At a detail level, they still separate, but at a high level, they kind of mix it up. So if you wake up before 6 a.m., which is still the Vata time, which is the air time, you will be active, you'll be energetic, you'll get up and start doing things. The same me, if I become a little lazy and push my waking up time beyond 6 a.m., I get into the Kapha time, which is earth and water time. We become sluggish. It's hard to move. The day kind of falls apart. I'm not interested in things. And then the energy tempo picks up around 10 a.m. Till 2 afternoon, where the pitta time or the fire time is at its peak around 12 o'clock. And that is why we are told that you have to have your lunch between 12 and 1 for it to digest completely. So there is no toxic substances produced extra. So everything gets digested and you'll be more healthy because it all gets absorbed quite well. And it rotates. The afternoon 2 to 6 will be Vata time again, where you are excited, your tempo has picked up and you're doing things. But then 6 to 10, you become tired. You are done for the day. You just want to wind down, which is the earth and the water time. And if you push your bedtime past 10 o'clock, that's the pitta time. Into 2 is where most of your processes, the thoughts are going to be processed. When you sleep before 10, your food is going to be processed if you have eaten much earlier in the day. But if you do push it, then it's hard to fall asleep because we are nearing the Vata time around 2 a.m. So they're all intricately linked, interconnected. The day, the times of the day, the seasons of the year. There is also this concept, where I am a microcosm. It's like a microcosmic entity, just an entity. And then there is a macrocosm, this whole universe, where there are these galaxies and many, many of galaxies. And within that, we have solar systems, and we have our solar system where there is sun and other planets, and each of these planets have their own satellites like moon and stuff, and all of these have influence on all of us. And we see that like moon cycles, full moon, there are full tides in the ocean. That definitely moon is exerting its gravitation more on earth, so we see high tides. And then new moon, we have low tides. This is very visible for us. And there are many things that aren't visible, that aren't felt at a very gross level. So we are all influencing each other in some way. And every minute, I'm influenced by these energies. And you can just imagine how complex it becomes. How complex it becomes just to understand myself. Why I don't like this person, why I don't like this temperature, why I love this food, why I love this music. It becomes quite interesting. And the more you understand yourself, the more you'll be able to understand another human being. And that is the effort we are trying to put here, especially as teachers, because we interact with at least 100 to 200 students a day directly when you walk into the classroom. And indirectly, there are thousands of students watching you every single day. Unlike a software engineer, he or she will be living in a family of 4 or 5. They get into their car or get on their bike or get onto the bus where maybe 40 people will observe them. Then they go sit in their desk and maybe their team members, 10, 20 people will observe them, the same of them every single day. However, with us, it is not the same. And also we have this power of influencing others. Children look up to us. Children imitate us. So it becomes all the more important. So I know my predominant temperament, my secondary temperament, and the dormant temperaments in me. And somewhere I have to wake up to this fifth element in me, which is a space element, where I use my reflective ability, where I use my ability to just bring all the external influences to minimal and understand in that space how should I behave or not behave. I could have the air element as my dominant element, but then in a class of 40, I need to mellow that down and I need to become a bit more grounded and stable. I could be pretending and consciously pretending, though earth element is not my dominant element, but for the sake of children, for the sake of that particular class, I'm going to pretend to be a melancholic, the earth element. So my class will be learning from me. The class will become grounded. And that kind of a balance, I, as a human being who is aware that I have this fifth element in me, can actually produce. It is not just, oh, this is my nature, I'm going to be like this. You like it or not, I don't care. Can't be that way. And the minute it is like that, we are always in conflict. And I can blame you. Oh, you're so scattered. I don't like the way you are. You're always like this. I can blame it to 100,000 people. But bottom line is I'm suffering. I am not happy. And anytime I encounter you, I want to avoid you because you somehow create that chaos in me. But when I become aware, when I diligently, consistently practice looking within myself, what is my temperament? How am I feeling right now? Is it that person creating the problem for me, or am I creating this problem for myself? Are the children misbehaving, or am I not in the position to control the class? Who is more evolved here? Is it me or is it the children? And when I'm constantly going back and forth on these ideas within me, I mean, I don't need anybody. If you do find somebody who you can talk with, that is excellent. So you can bounce off the ideas and understand how the other person is managing versus how I am managing, and then arrive at a better understanding of myself and others. Nevertheless, I do not wait for another person to come into my life who can think like me, talk like me, walk like me. And even there, I will have problems. So if two choleric people, two fiery people, two great accomplishers want to come together, very often you see that they can never work together. they split up and go separate ways. Because somewhere both of them don't want to budge, don't want to give in, both of them think their idea is the best, and they get into this competition of proving that they are the best. It won't work again. So it's a delicate balance that I need to be constantly aware and working on, sharpening my saw every single day. Every interaction that you encounter in a day is worth reflecting upon. Spend 1 minute. One child is screaming in the class. Just pay attention to what happened, what triggered it. Why is that child jumping? Why is that child shouting? Try to look one layer deeper into the child, one layer deeper into yourself. Why am I getting angry? Why am I upset? Why am I afraid that somebody else may be watching over me and complaining over me to someone else? Reflect on these. You may not get answers, but move on. There will be another child ready to give you some challenges. Go reflect on that. Go reflect on that. Keep reflecting. Eventually, something will dawn on you when you have developed your space element. That will give you a good idea about what you could be doing. And that is when you have this aha moment. You wake up to this new reality where everybody is okay, everybody is doing their share. What can I do right now is what I will do right now. And what I say that I will do or what is right may change next moment because you have a new experience. You are growing every minute and you are different every minute. I don't have to go back to being my old self, the one that was not happy. Yeah. So begin thinking, begin reflecting, and see what you arrive at. That's it for today. Any questions?